Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is a rainy day here in Ohio, so I thought what better topic to talk about than reading. And I'm specifically talking about the struggling reader, the reluctant reader, or the one that just says they hate reading. So I have a super exciting win this week that I wanted to share with you guys about reading with my, I don't know what I would label this child, reluctant reader, or just like a totally disinterested reader. But I have a fun win that I want to share with you guys. So if you have somebody who's been struggling to read, who maybe acts like they hate it, never wants to get into it, I just want to share some encouragement with you. So stick around. So if you have more than one kid, my guess is that you've probably had one of your kids that has struggled with reading at some point or another. Maybe they struggle to learn how to read. Maybe they struggle to want to read. Maybe they hate every single book that you give to them. I just want to share some encouragement that it will get better. Now, I know there's some kids that obviously have issues like dyslexia or different things where maybe reading is just always going to be hard for them. And you will also have somebody who maybe just never has any interest in reading. Like the rest of their life, they might be like, no way, I don't like reading, it's no fun, which is fine. But my encouragement to you is to stick with it and don't give up on that kid. Because my same kid that I try not to ever, I don't ever want to embarrass any of them. I hope the rain's not too loud. It's really soothing and relaxing to me, but I hope it's not a distraction to you guys. I don't ever want to embarrass my kids, so I try not to ever point out specifically who it is. And I have 3 girls, so if I say her, it could be anybody. So I'm not going to say specifically who this child is, but I have a kid who, when she was young, she struggled to read, not like learning wise, like, oh my goodness, she's not smart. It was never that. It was like she was wild and I couldn't get her to even just sit still long enough to read. And anytime we did our reading lessons, everything was so funny. She was just goofy and she just found so much fun in life that there was no calming down when we needed to calm down. And I thought, honestly, I'm like, oh my word, this kid is never going to learn how to read. Well, eventually she learned how to read, and it actually didn't take as long as I thought. That little stretch felt like forever, but she finally got it and she learned how to read. It was awesome. No problem. She's a really good reader, but she's always struggled to want to read. I wouldn't say always. Most of the time she struggles to want to read. She's one that I have to be like, okay guys, we're gonna put on a fire, we're all gonna get a book and we're gonna sit in the living room and we're gonna read together. And then still she will do that after probably grumbling a little bit, and then is probably gonna sit there and make faces at people, and she might read a little bit, but she is not a bookworm. That's not her. And that's okay. But I still want her to want to read something. I'm always trying to encourage my kids to read. So one thing that I do with my kids, we're not doing a reading program. Like in the past, we've had different, where we did Christian Light reading, or we did Heart of Dakota, or we did different reading programs where they would assign books and you were supposed to read this book and they would have to do that. But now, as all 3 of my girls are older, they don't have a specific reading curriculum. I just assign books to read. Sometimes I assign historical fiction, which is none of their cup of tea. They just are always like, oh, this is so boring, Mom. Why do I have to read this? And then a lot of times they're like, oh, that was pretty good. But sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're like, that was boring. I don't want to read about that. And that's fine. I was not a history buff growing up. And me having to read some sort of historical fiction would have been torture also. So I get it. Totally get it. So a lot of times when I assign them their book and I try to have them, you need to read, sometimes I've done, you have to read 30 minutes a day, or sometimes I've done, you've got to read 2 chapters a day or 3 chapters a day to try to get them through the book a little bit faster. I try to pick fun books. Sometimes I do let them pick though. That's a thing too, where I try to alternate, where it's like, okay, this time, so that's what I've been doing this year, was I pick a book, you read that book, then the next book you get to pick. Then I get to pick, you get to pick. We keep alternating. So if there's something that I really want them to read this year, even if they grumble about it, like one of my girls right now, I assigned The Secret Garden because I feel that is just kind of a classic that I feel like everybody should read. I think both my other girls have read it. And she was like, oh, like just dreaded getting into it. She was just like, this is boring, Mom. What is this even about? And I'm like, just trust me, you're going to like it. Like I read this when I was a kid. It was a good book. But it took her like weeks of you know, if you have an attitude in your mind, like, I'm not going to like this. Okay, fine. I'll just read for 30 minutes. But you're reading like with an attitude, you're not going to get much out of it. You're not going to enjoy it. And that's how she was. And then finally, the other day, I asked her about it. I'm like, is that getting any better? Because she told me she was almost done. She's like, yeah, it's actually pretty good. And I try not to say I told you so. But it is nice to see that. It's really refreshing to see that. Well, an even bigger win was one of my other girl who was, you know, struggled to read when she was younger, struggled to focus so that she could read when she was younger. Reads amazing, but has kind of been like, she likes humor books, but she's like, no way, I don't like mysteries. No way, I don't like historical fiction. Like, there's things that she's like, no way, I don't like that. Well, I got a bunch of books from the library because she has been not enjoying what I've been picking for her lately. She still reads them, but she complains the whole time. So I got something from the library. I will put a picture here of it so that you guys can see, because I don't remember the name of it, but it's kind of like, I think it's probably an adventure book. Yeah, it's definitely an adventure book, which she's kind of had a taste for adventure a little bit, but still not excited to read. This kid, listen carefully, this kid has been devouring this book. Like, instead of when I'm like, okay, we're done with school, you guys can do media for a little bit, she'll pick up her book. Like, oh my word, I like want to take a picture and like film her, but I won't do that because I don't want to take the excitement out of it for her. But she has been reading. She's been picking it up and reading before bed. Like, when your kid gets to the point where they choose a book over doing media or over doing something, you know, playing or something else, then that's a homeschool mom win, right? And that was just so exciting for me. And I just wanted to share with you guys, like, it's a little thing that I'm sure, I hope you guys have all experienced. You know, when the light bulb goes off, and I told her, I'm like, this is what I've been wanting for you for so long, is just once you find the genre that you like, or once you find a couple books that you like, you're gonna love reading. And even for me, sometimes I'll pick up a book and I'm like, oh, I should try this. And it's just not my style. It's not I don't really enjoy it. I'm not a huge, I don't really like the historical romance type books. I really have no interest in that. So if I were to pick up one of those, I'd probably feel bored and I wouldn't be excited to keep picking it up and reading. But if I find one that I'm really interested in or that really grabs my attention, then I want to keep reading and I want to read in my free time. And so I've been telling her that, but it took her experiencing it on her own, figuring it out on her own, being like, okay, I like this. Reading is fun. And so now it's like I go in, you know, when I tucked him in at this time and I come in 45 minutes later and they're supposed to be sleeping and she's still reading. And that's when it's like, yay, but go to bed. But anyway, just I wanted to encourage you that whatever stage in your reading journey with any of your children you are at, whether you are at the beginning and you're like, this kid is never going to learn how to read, which I was there with my son where I thought he's never going to learn how to read. And it was also, they were more like, there was so much fun stuff in life that they just wanted to do what was fun. They did not want to sit and read. And it was hard. It's not, I don't think it was not an ADD thing or anything like that. It was just, they want to go play. And so that was hard. But I do have a couple books that have worked amazing for us. I'll link the video above because I'm not focused on that right now. But if you are someone who has struggled and you're like, I just need something simple and straightforward that I can teach my kid how to read, check out this because these have been amazing. I've taught all 4 of my kids how to read using both of these 2 curriculums consecutively. Is that the right word? Consecutively? Concurrently. Consecutively, one after the other. Yeah. Don't give up. That's the point. Whether you're there where your kid doesn't even know how to read and is struggling to sound stuff out, or you have a high schooler who hates reading and you have all these books that you feel like they need to read, you know, to be the perfect high school student, but they don't want to, don't give up. Keep trying. If they don't want to read Heidi, don't make them read Heidi. If it's like pulling teeth, you can find other stuff. Just keep trying new things, but don't give up and just be like, oh, they hate reading. They don't have to read, you know? And I'm sure you won't, but I think mentally sometimes we give up. Mentally, I've been there where I've been like, I can't just whatever. I don't have that enough energy to keep pushing this kid. And it's hard, but it's not a 100% guarantee. But most of us will get that light bulb moment where they're like, ooh, this is kind of cool. Or, oh, this was better than the movie, you know, this book. So I just wanted to encourage you guys to stick with it. And even for yourself, Like, I'm trying to keep getting myself to explore more genres so I don't just stick in that one genre. But you also have to set the example for your kid, because if they don't see mom reading and they see when, you know, the day's over, mom is exhausted, which we're allowed to be, and we're allowed to be on our phone. Like, I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with being on your phone and vegging out. Totally. But make sure at some point in the day they see you sitting there reading in your cozy chair with your cup of tea or whatever. Make sure they see you reading, because if they see you reading, then they're going to want to read. But you can't be like, oh, you guys need to read, you guys need to put your phone down and read, and they never see you reading. So make sure you lead by example also. So this was just a quick a glance into our life and just something I was excited about that happened this week. I hope you guys are encouraged by this. If you have any tricks for anybody else that is trying to teach their kids how to read, feel free to leave it in the comments for me or for them, and we can all help each other as a community. So I hope you guys enjoy this rainy day. If it's rainy where you are, I actually would love to put on a fire this afternoon and read. I'm actually looking forward to that. So we just have to go finish school. All right, well, I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, subscribe, share with your friends, and I will see you next week. Bye.